All right, we are live. I haven't done a video in a week. Uh, After the events on Wednesday with Mr. Kirk, I kind of fell off the map a little bit. I seen the video of itself, like the raw footage. Actually, the exterminator guy came to my apartment and he showed me like the real video, and it was horrific. Nobody should have to go through that unless if you're an enemy of the United States. Um, like if you're actually downrange and they are declared an enemy, like that's the only person that should have to go through that. They're downrange and you're downrange, and it's you or some other guy. So um, Mr. Kirk was unarmed and he was at a peaceful like event. Uh, Really, no American citizen should have to live through that. So my condolences to the Kirk family, even though they have no idea who I am, but I'm sure they appreciate it. Um, and it's just a tragic thing. So there's a lot of good Nikki MG TV videos that he made. They're pretty good. I watched some of them. I didn't watch one of them. One of them is going to be really good. I'm really excited to watch this one. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into this madness of Nikki MGTV. If it wasn't for him, I would have never joined the military. All right. So we're going to watch. All right, who cares about that dude? Yeah, we're going to watch this one.
Man popped right here.
All right, so what happened in this one, after Charlie Kirk died, a lot of military people, a lot of like left-wing people or people who didn't agree with the things that Charlie Kirk said, they had an emotional reaction to what of the stuff that he said, or like the stuff that he said were like taken out of context. They were like kind of like what happened with President Trump when he was first president. So like they were taken out of context, and people nowadays are more emotional than ever and react emotionally. So people don't really act with logic anymore for some weird reason. But uh military members are getting jammed up for like wishing Charlie Kirk's, like saying that it's good that he passed away, which, of course, obviously nobody should have to, especially a mother and a child. His two children were there, so uh and I seen the wound and the blood gushing, and I wouldn't want to be the paramedic or the EMT on that call at all. Like, you would be covered in blood. So, all right, let's get into it. Here's the volume.
Here, I just saw this, and
This guy is in the Marine Corps. He's out now. I think he got like forced retired or something like that. I don't really know. I know that he retired, but he used to be in the Marine Corps, and he was pretty, like, I guess, internet famous. And he's giving his critique.
from Captain Williamson, USMC. He is a captain. Here's his page. And this is him right here. Chicago, Marine officer, recruiter.
If you're celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, you're a bad person.
This guy is second class. I don't know what ship he's on or anything like that, but since he's a second class, I'm on the same rank as him, so I could kind of talk smack. But this guy's an idiot for even saying anything that he said, you know.
person, you're going to hell. Charlie Kirk. The off
He said F Charlie Kirk.
ramp to the high road is closed. We are not going to be made to feel bad about y'all hero that consistently spewed harmful rhetoric, that consistently put people's lives in danger with the platform that he was given by all of you goofies.
So with this guy, he's another one of those examples of the emotional type of reaction to things, you know, and you know, he didn't really even probably watch him, because I watched some, I never really watched Charlie Kirk, but a lot of his videos were cut up where it was like DEI stuff, and you know, so you know, and Charlie gave his opinion on the DEI stuff and all that stuff. So this guy probably didn't even watch any of this stuff, and you know, so all right, let's get back to it.
Yeah, so a lot of craziness is going on right now with obviously the events that have played out with Charlie Kirk, but there is even more craziness that military service members are using their social media platforms to spew their thoughts and ideas, which probably would not be a good idea, especially somebody that is in the political sphere like Charlie Kirk was. Now, that's because this right here says another R word man popped, and shows it on Captain Williamson, USMC. And you can see it says close friends with the green area there with the white star. And this is Captain Williamson in Chicago. He's a Marine officer recruiter. He says, need challenge in employment. Looks like he had a master's in education and curriculum and instruction. So not like he wasn't a bright bulb when it came to getting education and certificates and doing all the things that were right, but following the Uniform Code of Military Justice isn't really there. And it looks like even Sergeant Major Bull, a retired sergeant major, had a few words about this, and this will connect to the next thing as well for another person that decided to come out.
Beautiful smile. And of course, looks like he put this on his story, probably for close friends.
The problem is with his statement is another racist man popped. So like he's like kind of saying like, yeah, he's dead.
Talking about Charlie
He's like, cheers, you know, like he's happy about it.
Kirk, and you know, basically how he's glad that he got, you know, unalived yesterday. Now, if I was this captain's first sergeant or sergeant major, to be honest with you, there ain't going to be a whole lot of yelling and screaming going on. I don't know if I'd even want to talk to him. I'd probably just send him straight to the commanding officer. But if I did talk to this captain, I'd say something like, excuse my language, what in the were you thinking? Has anybody ever told you that you're not just representing yourself, sir? You are representing the military, the United States, the Marine Corps.
He's a recruiter too.
Officers everywhere. And to be honest, I just don't think this is going to help your career, but I guess let's see what happens. And this is where somebody needs to be telling their friends, if you're feeling some type of way, maybe you shouldn't just say anything and just stay off the damn internet.
Now, obviously, yes, you did post it to close friends, but close friends are not immune to not sharing to somewhere else or screenshotting. Like when you post something on the internet like that, it's going to go.
It just goes to show that you have no remorse or no like human decency on somebody who you don't agree with. Like, this is America. Everybody has a right to free speech, but you know, there does come consequences with that free speech, especially when you're active duty, when you're in the military and stuff like that. Like, I usually always say like most, you know, people. I don't say like all, or I don't like, for instance, like I think these people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, I think they're unhinged type of people and they just don't care about what, you know. So I wrote saying leftists are mostly, you know, most leftists are unhinged, you know, like crazies. So, you know, because they are, you know, like it's the truth. Like literally they're dancing in the street and breaking monuments of this guy who was a part of the America First movement, and he these guys are crazy. They're crazy.
Going to flow. And I think with incidents like this or things that are very touchy like this, you're going to have close friends that even have differing views, no matter how close they are. It is just the way it is. But it appears he reacts to this firing as well because there are updates. That's because here it says, we became aware of social media posts last night that does not align with our core values. The Marine Corps takes this type of allegation seriously. The Marine in question has been relieved of his recruiting duties and the matter is under investigation. Thank you for your continued support. Semper Fidelis, #Untouchable6. So it looks like the boss of this Marine officer has essentially said he's no longer going to be in power. And a lot of people, even outside the military,
you know where he's going. He's going back to the battalion.
Are being put on notice, like, stop posting about this. And it appears the comments don't have any sympathy towards him because they say this. Mimi says, Captain Jacoby Williamson should have known better. Mick Ronan, 205, said, he didn't feel bad for Charlie Kirk. Why should we feel bad for him? And Jumrock 72 says, he made choices. Accountability as a Marine, he should have known better. Now, he's not the only person that people are asking to go on the chopping block, and it looks like a petty officer second class has essentially stepped up to the plate as well, and he had to say this.
If you're celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, you're a bad person. You're going to hell. Charlie Kirk. The off-ramp to the high road is closed. We are not going to be made to feel bad about y'all hero.
We're supposed to take the high road at all times. I'm pretty sure that's what, they trained us to be, take the high road.
That consistently spewed harmful rhetoric, that consistently put people's lives in danger with the platform that he was given by all of you goofies. This has nothing to do with conservative versus liberal. This has nothing to do with Democrat versus Republican. This has nothing to do with the left versus the right, because that's what y'all going to prop it up as. And the alleged suspect is an old white guy. But I bet the mainstream media won't be talking about white-on-white violence. They won't be talking about gun control. They're going to say there was an isolated incident by a lone shooter. And they're going to hold off the identity for as long as they can, and it's going to end up being a white guy.
Well, he was right. It was a white guy, so.
But we're not talking about these dangerous.
Supposedly, it was a white guy. Like, supposedly. Valhalla thinks otherwise.
White men that just decide to get a gun and just start killing people. We're not going to be gaslit to feel bad about a terrible person.
See, that's the problem, too, is because this guy probably never even watched any Charlie Kirk stuff. He probably only seen little clips of his stuff and all other stuff. Like, I've seen some of his videos, and he doesn't seem like a hateful person at all. He's very welcome. He was very welcoming, and it's just sad that people are like this.
Is what happened to him sad? Absolutely. However, that guy, I don't condone what happened to him, but guess what? God's timing is always right. Good day, goofies.
I don't like that he called me a goofy.
And it appears
because I'm not goofy.
That people are trying to check this sailor here by saying a few comments in his feed here, and they say this. Vanilla Gorilla 3 says, goodbye, pension. And then Jay Burrs 10 says, let's see what your chain of command has to say about it. Pete Hegseth, get in touch with you yet? Now
brutal. Burn.
I will say on his platform, he does have the elucid statement that says this.
This guy has 1.5 million followers.
Platform, he does have the
1.5 million. 1.5 million followers. He's monetizing. He's got to be monetizing, definitely, for sure. That's the whole idea of live streaming and doing videos and stuff like that. It's to make extra money. This guy is probably bringing in money, and he's got a lot of followers, man. My views are not reflected the DoD or the U.S. Navy. Yeah, true. But there's only a certain time when it's time for you to stop making videos, especially expressing an opinion on an unarmed man who was brutally murdered in front of his family.
Lucid statement that says this. It says, my views are not reflective of the Department of Defense or USN, but he does post in uniform quite often from what I've seen on.
That's the one thing I dislike about a lot of military influencers. They make videos in their uniform. Like, how stupid can you be? Like, stop making YouTube videos in your freaking uniform. Like, stop. Get some help.
On his thing where, yeah, but some of it, he is in uniform. My head's up to you, guy. They're going to come after you. I just going to put it out there. They're coming after you. Now, Barry Bull was back in the mix, the retired sergeant major, because he even reacted to this comment. And
Charlie Kirk was friends with all of like President Trump's cabinet, like everybody in his cabinet, like everybody knew Charlie Kirk.
kind of called him out, and that caused some drama here.
And he's the same one who did this clip right here.
African-American leadership in the military that pander for white approval pissed me off.
You know, what you
That was dumb for saying that, especially in uniform.
say says more about you than it does about other people. Dude, that's not a good look, man. And I would take that video down.
So what's interesting is this pay officer second class then doubles down on all of this, even though people in the comments are saying, hey, dude, take this down. You know, even though people from the same military sphere are saying take it down, he doubles down.
I do not condone his death. I do not celebrate his death. Oh, I think you should take this down. And I'm not. The North Pole will melt and hell will freeze over before I take that video down. But you said, and I quote, please comment what Charlie Kirk did or said that made him so bad. Be specific.
That's another problem too when it comes to that stuff. Like, these people who talk smack on the internet about, like, you know, about Charlie or whatever, they can't like really define things. And instead, they'll just pick on you and call you names. You know, like, I had some people call me bald. You know, I'm 5'6". You know, talking about like different like being a leftist is beta. You know, because you have beta and you have alpha. They're two placeholders. And alpha is the top and beta is below alpha, obviously, right? So most men are conservative. Like, smart men are conservative. These beta, I guess, like the men who are or liberals are probably more likely to be beta.
Tag me in the videos. No worries. Roll the clip. Now let's outline some more truths about him.
Oh, I didn't see that. Charlie Kirk wasn't a racist. You should feel bad about that he passed. No. What is this? All right, let's see.
No worries. Roll the clip.
I live like capitalist every single day. Chink. Yeah, I doubt that Charlie Kirk really called him that. Like, I don't really think that. I don't think Charlie Kirk said that.
Some more truths about him. He believed that teaching race and certain histories in schools were teaching kids to hate America and hate white people. He pushed that belief so hard that,
well, he said hate white people and hate black people. So it's like, you know, I don't see what the problem is.
it got teachers fired and books banned. He swore.
Yeah, books banned, probably like trans books and that other like just not normal like type of stuff. Like, a man is a man, a woman is a woman. A woman gives birth, a man plants the seed. You know, like, that's probably what I mean. Because Charlie Kirk was he was a Christian and he was a conservative, so that's probably what he was talking about. These liberals, they always say, well, he's banning books, you know, like, but it's not the way that the country wants to go. The country doesn't want to go this in that direction.
Or white privilege was a myth, and even white people acknowledge that white privilege is a thing, but I digress. He dragged Black Lives Matter every chance he got and always defended.
See, this guy has a loser mindset and he has a victim mindset. He thinks that he's a victim. This guy's not a victim. This guy's in the greatest military of all times. He doesn't live at home anymore. He has food. He has his own place to live. Like, this guy thinks that he's a victim. He is not a victim, and he thinks that he is.
Ended police brutality. He hated immigration and pushed the idea that black and brown people weren't as capable as white people. And you can pause to read the rest.
He's it's out of context. He also talked about like the NBA, right? So he talked about the NBA. I watched this one about the NBA where he said that like most of the people who in the NBA are black. Why? Because black people are better at basketball than white people. You want the best people to play, you know, the sport, right? So, and that was one of the examples that I watched Charlie Kirk talk about, right? And then like it kind of started making sense, right? You know, like I don't know, maybe white people are better at badminton, for instance. I don't know, you know, but like I'm just kind of like giving an example on why this guy has a loser mindset. This guy has a weak mindset where he thinks that he's a victim.
Oh, we got more. He believed that gay people should be stoned to death.
I don't think that at all either, because Charlie actually invited gay people and all that stuff like this. It's just a total lie. These are just complete lies.
That most people were scared when they see a black pilot flying a plane.
Right, because of DEI. That's what he's explaining.
He said Taylor Swift should reject feminism and submit to her husband.
Absolutely. I totally think that women should be submissive towards their husbands. It's the way it's always been, you know, like until like just recently where, you know, like the last, like, I guess like 40 or 50 years is when, you know, this is like third wave feminism now.
He said no one should be allowed to retire. Leftists should not be allowed to move to red states. British colonialism was what made the world decent. The guy who assaulted Nancy Pelosi's husband should be bailed out. Religious freedom should be terminated. Multiple black politicians stole white people's spots. He said Martin Luther King Jr. was an awful person.
See, I really don't think any of that stuff, because he, like all the videos that I've seen, he was really nice. Where's his credit? Where is his credit? Where is his backup to prove all this stuff? He's just spewing nonsense.
He said the great replacement theory is reality. And you can pause to read the rest. Here's a little bit more. Here's a little bit more.
We say George Floyd was a scumbag.
Pause to read the rest. Here's a little bit more.
Charlie Kirk says that Patriots should bail out alleged Paul Pelosi attack. This might be a good time to remind everyone that Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, was viciously attacked with a hammer in his home by a MAGA nutcase. Charlie Kirk said some amazing Patriots should bail him out of jail. See, I don't believe that either. I think Charlie Kirk is smarter than that. You know, like I don't think that he would say something stupid like that. I don't really believe it, you know? That's the problem. People, there's so much disinformation out there, and like there's so many like people out there that like will believe one side over the other, and it's terrible. I really think it's like Russian bots or like Chinese bots like causing all this commotion to keep us divided.
Here's a little bit more.
George Floyd was a father too, and Charlie Kirk called him a scumbag. Well, I mean, he was on drugs and stuff like that. You know, he did have like a drug problem. I mean, I'm not calling him a scumbag. I didn't know him, but you know, like he didn't die because of the knee. He died because of the drugs. You know, that's probably how he died. You know, like people are going to say, oh, no, he died. Blah, 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 blah. The cop killed him or whatever. But people are going to say whatever. Like any logical person, any smart person is going to probably say, well, he was on drugs and he probably died because of the drugs that he was taking.
Here's a little bit more where he said Joy Reid, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Michelle Obama used affirmative action because they do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. So they had to steal a white person's slot. He also said that it was a mistake to pass the Civil Rights Act in 1964. He blamed Jewish money for ruining American culture. He said gay people are a disease. And we all know his statements about the Second Amendment, but let me continue.
Yeah, I kind of really don't believe any of that stuff, like I really don't.
I stand on everything that I said in my original video. I did not condone his death, nor did I celebrate his death. However, what I am stating is that passing away does not make you a good person. Point blank, period.
I mean, he's got a point, like there are a lot of bad guys out there, and he thinks that Charlie Kirk was a bad guy. And I think that he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
Good day, goofies.
What's interesting about this is
I'm not effing goofy.
He says he would never take this video down, but according to some of his posts, he has a lot more time on the clock before he's out of the military.
What is it?
So we have seen nothing with that individual, but we have seen some recourse with the captain. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'll say to post and have freedom of speech is awesome, but I will tell you, to lose your career over a Charlie Kirk video, I wouldn't do it. Because I'm going to tell you, no offense to the Charlie Kirk situation, but we all know in 3-4 years, when you're trying to get out, you're going to be like, that's not even relevant anymore. So, I mean, it sounds like you're passionate about this, but there are ways to do it.
True. Yeah. Like he could have, instead of saying like being angry about it, he could have said, it's a shame that Charlie Kirk has been shot. No American should be shot. I don't agree with his views or something like that. Like here are all the things that I seen that he said. This is why I don't agree with him, blah, 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 blah. But instead he kind of made an emotional video out of it rather than a logical and something with reason, Oh, this is the other one I wanted to watch. I didn't watch this one yet, but I watched this one, the fired captain over Charlie Kirk comments. Let's see what these comments say. Masters in ED means he was indoctrinated in ultra woke shit. Well, I gotta tell you, I have my bachelor's degree and I took this cultural diversity class and I hated it. It was like the worst class I've ever taken. I think I got like a D on it or a C+ or something like that, because I just couldn't stand it. We had to watch Crash and like we had to learn on how, white people treat other people because of the color of their skin, which is not necessarily true in today's day and age. Like I don't treat black people any differently than I would a white person or a Hispanic person, or a gay person, like I treat everybody the same, so, like I'm just kind of like, what the hell? Let's see what this guy says. As a retired NYPD officer, I've had said it time and time again. Just because someone is in law enforcement and or the military doesn't mean they're automatically good people. True, there's a lot of bad cops out there. There's a lot of bad military members out there. Like a lot of people say, oh, I got my good conduct medal. I just never been caught, So conduct unbecoming of an officer. Yeah, conduct of unbecoming of an officer. Yeah, I mean, that guy, that Marine Corps officer, doesn't really necessarily put a good image out there for the Marine Corps. He never listened to a word Charlie Kirk said. Yeah, I totally agree with that. He probably never even watched any of his videos. And I watched another video saying that, these people who are watching their side of the aisle celebrating this, they're starting to have second thoughts now. They're like, whoa, what am I? Am I like, I'm not going to celebrate this. I don't think I belong here, on this side, so he probably never even listened. He just probably seen this stuff and was like, F Charlie Kirk, like that's probably how he thought. So, hey, look, there's my video right there. Yeah, I posted that meme. I've been getting lazy putting memes up instead of, the Muster Report video. I can't find it in my thing. All right, last one. They shot the guy carrying the white flag with one willing to parlay with them to discuss the differences. Yeah, for sure. He was trying to talk to people, and he said in his videos, he said, if you disagree with me, come to the come to the front of the line. Like, how is that being a racist and a bigot and a fascist? Like, make it make sense. All right, let's watch this one. Oh, I'm excited to watch this one.
What happened? What happened to the NCO Corps about the very fact that the NCOs are just not stepping up? They're just not stepping up. In fact, I remember whenever I went to WACS, which is the Warrant Officer Candidate School, one of our TAC officers said, the reason why you came to this place is because you see it already. The backbone has scoliosis. And the NCO Corps is the backbone of the Army.
Woman, you're way too close.
I'm gonna make you sober up. So we take them outside. I dust them. Boy, they ran so many laps. It was crazy. I absolutely destroyed them. And then I send them back to their barracks rooms to lick their wounds. And I call their first sergeant. They don't pick up. I call their senior drill sergeant. He didn't pick up. So then I call their platoon sergeant, who was.
I don't know what rank that is. What rank is that? Army ranks enlisted. He's enlisted. What rank is that? Army. He's got what, 2 bars? You gotta zoom in. He's at E7, so that probably makes him a first sergeant? No. Here we go. Sergeant first class? I think that's what he is. All right, let's get back to the video. Wrong one. Where is it? Right here.
The U.S. Army is having a huge cultural issue that I think is not being discussed. But apparently the back in my day type folks that are in higher ranks are.
It's not just the Army, Nikki. It's the Navy, too. It's probably the whole military, dude.
Saying the new generation is just not as good. That comes from a warrant officer that has gone to TikTok and said, they're not the same. They're not like me.
They not like us. They not like us.
So here's a little thought that might stir up some of the NCO Corps. And I can say this because I was once in the NCO Corps. What happened? What happened to the NCO Corps? One of my warrant officer buddies made a post on Facebook today about this, about the very fact that the NCOs are just not stepping up. They're just not stepping up. It's no disrespect to the NCO Corps. It's just the fact of the matter that is we have gotten more, complacent? I don't know. I'm not seeing NCOs stepping up like they used to. In fact, I remember whenever I went to WACS, which is the Warrant Officer Candidate School, one of our TAC officers said, the reason why you came to this place is because you see it already. The backbone has scoliosis. And the NCO Corps is the backbone of the Army. And that statement, not only did it make me chuckle, but made me think. And I have seen this as a warrant now, looking at a different lens of the NCO Corps. The NCOs aren't taking initiative like they used to. They're not training soldiers like they used to. They're not enforcing standards like they used to. They're not trying to be excellent in their craft. And I'm not saying all, I'm saying a big majority that I've witnessed. This is my own perspective. Maybe in your unit, you're seeing something different, but so far I've seen this. I've seen the NCOs not step up the way they should. And I've seen a lot of officers and warrant officers have to step in and corral the troops and train the troops and enforce standards. And it shouldn't be us. We should be able to stay in our lane, so to speak. But I'm sorry, if I see something, I'm going to say something. All I have to say is we have to do better. We have to do better. What are your thoughts? Drop it down in the comments. Like and follow for more. S1 Strong.
You may be asking who this is, but he tells details in his bio. He says coffee, sarcasm, humor, and conversation from the Army Guard, I think is what it is, and says chief and doesn't rep DOD. Now, I'm going to read some comments.
It's DOW now.
And I'm going to show you a video of exactly how this plays out, why he's not seeing that. But let's read the comments because they commented and they kind of rebutted back to him. This soldier says, I've seen that anytime an NCO imposes discipline or enforces standards, someone gets offended and they end up under investigation.
Yeah, somebody gets butthurt or something happens to the NCO. Like I yelled at some girl who was talking over me and I got in trouble for it. So
For counterproductive leadership. Now that they won't flag it until after investigation should help them a little. Danny said here, we're not allowed to discipline soldiers anymore. It's easier to get fired than it is to promote.
facts.
And lastly, Samantha says NCOs get burned for enforcing standards. Officers tend to be liberal college students. They push PC agendas and policies. This limits the scope of their NCO's authority. Officer reap the policy they sow. If officers took care of their backbone, they'd be able to stand up straight. No disrespect to leadership. Whoa, people are like, check, check, check. We are protecting our paychecks because we've seen equal opportunity, things that have gone on, where essentially they're like, it's not worth my career to fight this. I'm not losing my job over not correcting somebody, but I will lose my job if I do. So you have to create an incentive structure that is there. He says people are not wanting to be technical experts. And I'm like, okay, that is true. I could see that. But if you're being told you've got to run fast, do boards, or do something else that's not with your technical expertise, yeah, you have people that are like, the money is over there. I'm going to go run fast, right? Like that is my mentality where I'm like, if I'm proficient at my job, it is almost irrelevant to my thing. And that is a cultural thing across the military that I think is kind of having to shift or is already shifting. Remember that video I said that is going to represent exactly what those people in his comments were saying? This is a hard proof concept as anecdotal evidence of why a lot of NCOs are not willing to do this.
I'm gonna tell y'all how your personal morals commonly conflicts with what the Army requires you to do, and how I almost got fired from the Drill Sergeant Academy for it. All right, so I'm pulling staff duty at the Drill Sergeant Academy, right? And the soldier walks in and goes, "Hey, I locked myself out of my barracks room. Will you help me out?" Super, super common. I'm like, absolutely. I go to the barracks. I let the soldier in the room, and up on the third floor, I hear nothing but absolute mayhem, just straight chaos. So I go upstairs and I hear a whole bunch of music bumping and there's some crude comments going through this door throughout the hallway. I'm like, all right, too easy. I walk up to this door and I just straight kick it. Bop, bop, bop. And all of a sudden I hear nothing but cans and bottles getting tossed. Immediately I knew they were drinking, which is a problem because there's a command policy straight up saying no alcohol on campus for the Drill Sergeant Academy.
Yeah, no drinking. I think you can in a school, in the CBA school, you're allowed to drink if you're 21. But I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to have alcohol in your barracks room. I think that's the way it is now.
Two soldiers open up the door, but I know for certain I heard more than two voices. So I'm like, hey, where are your dumbass friends at? So they come bleeding out of the bathroom, bleeding out of the back room to try to hide. And all of a sudden, I look over to the trash can. I see nothing but beer bottles and beer cans. So I'm like, all right, all of y'all, feel like you're coming back. Get your uniform, meet me at staff duty. About 5 minutes go by, and all these soldiers show up, about a dozen of them.
That's decent discipline. I mean, I don't think that's terrible.
And some are a little bit more inebriated than others. And I'm like, hey, somebody start explaining yourself. What the hell? One of them speaks up and they're like, hey, we're the graduating class. We're supposed to be graduating on Wednesday. We just finished our culminating event, and we wanted to get together and celebrate as a team because we're all in the same platoon. So the
Okay, as a leader, I'd be like, yeah, that's okay. That's fair.
Drill Sergeant Academy is based off the exact same way basic training is, right? There's 4 phases initially that you have to go through that's about 3 months long. And at the very end of it, there's a big culminating event that you like basically to build team cohesion, make sure that you can do all the things you're going to ask soldiers to do while you're a drill sergeant. And then there's a big grog ceremony where they give you your drill sergeant badge and you earned all that. They've made it through all of that. So I get frustrated. I'm like, guys, you've already made it through all this stuff and you know that you broke the rules, and therefore you could easily either get kicked out of the academy in its entirety, wash back to day 0. And I know some of y'all have families and kids at home that you don't want to be away from for an additional 3 months. Why would y'all do that? They all are sympathetic, they're a little apologetic, also other good stuff, because obviously they got caught, they're in trouble. So I'm like, all right, too easy. I'm going to make you sober up. So we take them outside, I dust them. Boy, they ran so many laps, it was crazy. I absolutely destroyed them. And then I send them back to their barracks rooms to lick their wounds. And I call their first sergeant, they don't pick up. I call their senior drill sergeant, he doesn't pick up. So then I call their platoon sergeant, who was on leave at the time, but still answered. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, I just caught all your soldiers doing this stuff. This is how I handled it. I hope that's good. She's like, yeah, we're straight. I'm like, all right, cool.
I think that's fair. You know, like instead of getting a write up or having to go back to zero, whatever, you know, I think that's a fair punishment.
So I hang up the phone. I go on about my business. I finish my duty. The day after, I get a call from the sergeant major, the commandant of the academy, which basically is the commander of the whole program. So he's like, "Hey, Baker, come see me in my office." I'm like, "All right, too easy." So I show up. I go to parade rest on his thing. He slides a letter of concern across the desk. For those who don't know, a letter of concern is basically a really formal way of saying, like, "Hey, you're about to lose your job," and this is like as formal as it can get, to which I can remove you from your position. And at first, I'm salty, big mad, right? Because I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal, right? Like, I'm not gonna snitch on these people who's been away from their family for 3 months, who's gonna have to recycle back to day zero, all because they were drinking of legal age in the barracks, celebrating the fact that they just graduated the drill sergeant academy and drinking responsibly because they're all right there. They're not driving anywhere, right? So I was really annoyed. And then he starts to explain to me, he's like, "Look, you're jeopardizing your career and your kids and your welfare and your paycheck on the behalf of somebody else who broke the rules, who knew they were breaking the rules. And you took the command authority out of my hands because you didn't want to hold them responsible."
Where do we have the power? You know, where do we be able to make decisions in the structural organization? You know, it starts from the top, right? So we always were told to, you know, keep it at the lowest level.
He was spitting bars, right? So I'm like, damn. All right, I get it, right? So I realized that a lot of times who you are as a person and the things that you want to empathize with is different than having sympathy for somebody, right? And as to my core, right, I didn't want to snitch on him. I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. Also,
Didn't he snitch? Didn't he call like the first sergeant and stuff like that?
really good stuff. I took the power base away from him to be able to make an informed decision. And through due process, I still could have advocated for them on the back end where I wrote, character statements or, handled it a different way, at least logged it on the staff duty log or whatever else. There's a lot of things that I could have done differently to allow the commander to still make a decision, hold them accountable for the actions that they had, and still advocate for them. And that was a hard lesson that I had to learn, because now I'm at a point to where in my career, I hold people accountable to the black and white, and then I advocate for them when I feel that they deserve it. And I'm not putting my life and my career and my family and my kids at jeopardy, all because of a code that I had growing up. So anyways, I was always really thankful for the fact that the commandant held me accountable in that way, except for I do think that it really skewed his vision of me, because I don't know, it kind of hung over my head for quite a while. But regardless, that's the best lesson I ever learned in the Army.
I'm gonna get to my thoughts, but the comments.
Yeah, like I said before, where do we have the discretion to be able to discipline and stuff like that now? Like, there is really none. Now it's like we have to go all the way up to, the top, like chief or somebody or something like that. I was told when third classes were trying to discipline, now third class is just like a glorified E3, so it used to be where third classes used to, like knife hand, I guess, constructionmen. And if the constructionman would talk back to the third class, here comes the second class coming up now. And then, oh, well, they're going to talk back to the second class. Oh, well, here comes the first class coming up now, so that's what I was told on how it used to be. But now it's not like that anymore.
Let's go off. Good old Sarge says, unfortunately, handle at the lowest level only works when those above you aren't micromanaging egomaniacs. DM Peter says, doctrinally, Command Sergeant Major is right. Ethically, I agree with you the way you handled it. And then this person says, no disrespect to the commandant, but I support your method. You are being an NCO and handling the issue at the lowest level. Doctrinally speaking, the commandant isn't wrong, but I believe as an NCO, you did the right thing. He's like, I could have put in the duty log, whatever. And I'm like, I mean, you could have made it legally there, because that is a legal document per se that could be used if they were going to go to court martial or a non-judicial process, Article 15. But I'm also like, the Army, by the way, the Sergeant Major of the Army only a few years ago, I think it was the one 2 ago or maybe 1 ago, had said, we need to allow people to actually take you out for a little PT and like that's their corrective action. He then also reported it to someone in the chain of command, which could have went up, right?
I do that all the time. Like me and my chief, I love my chief, by the way. I'll say, hey, chief, I can't find it. He'd be like, oh, yeah? How much you want to bet I'll find it? And I said to him, I bet you 75 push-ups that you can't find it. And the next day, there was the thing that I was looking for in one of the storerooms, and I gave him 75 push-ups. You know, like that's a good like discipline thing. You know, like in fact, I probably owe him like 100 push-ups by now. You know.
He wasn't saying all's well that's there. Like, wake up the commander for everything at night that happens when some people are drunk. Like, I would not want to be that commandant that's sitting there like, oh, I'm going to get a call every Friday or Saturday, possibly. That would drive me nuts. And what's hard is you create a power vacuum. And it's like, no, it's power's got to go up. Everybody up above has to know everything. Just push, 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 push. It's not teaching you to handle at your level. And essentially, I would say it teaches people to be rats. We know there's a culture of Blue Falcon or buddy effort that's out there that you're like, don't be that person. But at the same time, the Army is telling you to contradict that and do this. And then like, who are you holding any allegiance to? It's like, just burn everybody.
Right.
I don't think that is a good thing either. I think there is some gradient with this. So
there's got to be some sort of like way to handle things, and you have to let the NCOs handle it the way that NCO wants to handle it, you know? So, you know, it goes to like, oh, well, there's a bunch of crybabies need to go back into the cry closet kind of thing. So it is what it is.
That is my reaction.
Until that culture changes, until the power's back in the NCO, there is no power in the NCO. The NCO runs the shop. He supervises. He or she, helps, shows them they're the technical experts. You know, like so. You know, until the higher ups have too many meetings, I guess. You know, from what I understand is back in the day in the CBs, nobody ever saw Chief. Nobody ever saw Chief. They were like, "Where's Chief? Where's Chief? We don't know." You know, like nobody. Chief was always not there. So, like I said, like when I was a third class, you were a glorified constructionman. Now, as your second class, you're a glorified third class. You know, you have a little power and you have a little kind of like authority and stuff like that, but it depends on what your higher up wants to do. It's always up to them rather than you keeping at your level, you know. And it's unfortunate that, you know, we can't, or we don't have like discretion a lot of the times where, you know, if we want to write a counseling shit out to somebody, or, you know, you can't yell at somebody to try to discipline them in a way where they'll be able to understand, you know. So, you know, you have to treat everybody with respect and dignity. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. You know, like you can't tell somebody to stand at attention when they're talking to you anymore. Like they'll just laugh at you, you know. So let's see what these comments say. They purged a lot of service member over the last 10 years. They've probably turned standards upside down. It'll take some time to rebuild the NCO Corps. We got to fix the officer corps first. So this is like the Army, but it's like kind of like the same thing, you know, like the Navy, the Army, it's all the same. You know, it's all the same. When they called Smoking Joe hazing, they not only took the single greatest tool for asserting authority and dominance from he probably meant NCOs, but they also fundamentally changed every culture of the Army. Yeah, you know, like the CBs are a culture of the of like the Marine Corps / Navy, right? So we do the same stuff as the Marine Corps, but we're not the Marine Corps. So, all right, I got one more, and I want to watch this one, the Valhalla one. History. This one. I watched this one. Where is it? Here it is. I really
So
don't,
what the FBI is also telling you is that
I really don't think I like Valhalla anymore. I used to watch a lot of his stuff. Sometimes I still do, but there was a lot of drama that he was saying. He was like talking smack and stuff like that to people, and it's like, why do you need to do that? Why do you need to talk smack about people like on the internet? Like, can you just find something else better to do than just to call out fake alpha males and fake beta males? There's no such thing as a alpha male and a beta male. It's a placement. It's either you're alpha or you're not. You're either getting a shit ton of chicks or you're not. Or, like it's a placement. So, all right, let's kick it into this video. And
that he reassembled the rifle before he dumped it in the bushes as he's fleeing the scene of a murder. How'd he reassemble the rifle if he accidentally left his screwdriver up on the roof?
I've never reassembled a rifle with a screwdriver, so I almost agree with him.
It's an interesting story, to say the least. That's what we're going to do in this video. No tinfoil hat, no conspiracy. We are just going to go from start to finish with the official story put out by the FBI and see if any of it actually makes sense together. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. Grab some merch. Let's jump into this thing. We're going to start at the beginning. Now, there's a philosophical theory called Occam's razor that when you're presented with multiple different possible scenarios that could explain something, typically the one that's least complicated and requires the least assumptions is the one that's most often true. Is the official FBI's narrative the one that's the least complicated and requires the least amount of assumptions? I'd say no. I'd say it's the one that requires the most amount of assumptions. Let's jump into it. All right, we're going to start at the start of the timeline, work our way through it, and just as we go, talk about some things that just don't quite make sense.
All right, so the media says that the killer, the gunman, had like two types of outfits or something like that, and then he had the rifle in his side or something like that, so. And then he climbed up onto the roof, shot Charlie Kirk, and then fled the scene. But what Valhalla is going to say is he's going to say, well, how did this guy disassemble his rifle and put it in his backpack and stuff like that? So, and I kind of a little bit agree with him on that. Like, I don't know on how much to believe, honestly.
All right, first.
It could, all this stuff could be like Russian and like Chinese, like bad guys, like just trying to mess with the American people. I really think that a lot of these people, fake profiles and stuff like that, I think they're like Russian or just people trying to scam. And I just think it's really bad.
First, the shooter, where did he come from? So at first we heard that he actually went to this school. Then, as far as we know now, he actually went to a different school about 3 hours away in Utah. So yes, this kid drove up for the event, apparently somehow pre-scouted the entire area, knew exactly where he needed to be and park to be able to get onto this roof, get in the exact perfect position he needed to take this shot. Okay, that's fine. We can assume that's not that outrageous of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he knew where he was going to be, right? He knew that he was going to be at a tent at that spot right there,
Theory. Then, according to the FBI, we got to get into, as he gets to the event, his clothing situation. A lot of supposed clothes changes in a weird timeline that doesn't make sense. I'll let the FBI talk about it, though.
So when he's first spotted on camp.
So what confuses me is that he's not the FBI. He is Governor Cox, the governor of Utah. So,
he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting. here at UB.
All right, so we're off to a great start, right? So the suspect arrives in some clothing. He changes that clothing, puts it in, I'm assuming, this tiny little backpack where he's also got a broken down 30-06. We'll get into that in a second. Climbs to the roof, changes his clothing, takes the shot, and we're going to get to the roof timeline of events here in a minute. Changes back out of that clothing and then flees and escapes the scene. All right, so more clothing changes than Taylor Swift concert.
Kind of weird. Kind of weird.
Sure. We'll say that makes sense. What the FBI has also told us is, of course, that this is the suspect's murder weapon. All right, this Mauser 30-06 that they found later that day. Okay. Again, this one, I've never believed this from the beginning, and we're going to get into why here as we move through the timeline of events. But he changes his clothes. Now, a lot of people were trying to say that he hid this rifle in his jeans. Okay, well, let's take a look at what a 30-06 looks like stuffed in a pair of pants. All right, so courtesy of one of our viewers, yes, as you can see, what does an actual 30-06 look like stuffed in actually kind of a pair of loose-fitting pants? Absolutely outrageous, ridiculous. So no, it wasn't just stuffed in this kid's tiny little skinny jeans. We know that. So the FBI then says, well, yes, he disassembled this 30-06 and he put it in his tiny little backpack, which I'm not even sure how the barrel fits in that backpack. All right, sure. Let's just pretend that this kid is David Blaine Jr. and he somehow has a fully broken down 30-06 in this tiny little backpack that he has with, of course, his change of clothing on top of it. Also, the tools to put together and take apart this weapon.
Coming from an outside perspective, I think that those are good questions to ask. You know, like, how did this guy do this like that?
He gets to the top of the roof, and as you heard the FBI say there, he changes his clothes when he gets on top of the roof. He reassembles his rifle. The FBI says we know that's what he did because the FBI found the screwdriver he used to reassemble the rifle, and it matches the DNA to the shooter. Okay, let's see that statement. All right, so yes, here we go from the FBI director, Kash Patel himself, a real winner in this entire situation, tells us the DNA found on a towel wrapped in the woods with the 30-06 matches that of the shooter. Also, that the DNA linked to Tyler Robinson with a screwdriver recovered from the rooftop, that's going to be important here in just a second, was also recovered. All right, so quick
How would you use a screwdriver to reassemble a rifle? That's my question.
Cap, because we got to stay in our timeline here because it's all over the fucking place. So the kid shows up, he changes his clothes, he's got his broken down 30-06 in his backpack and this magic Houdini backpack that's fitting all this crazy shit in it. He gets to the top of the roof, he changes his clothes, he reconstructs the rifle with this screwdriver that the FBI found. Okay. Then, of course, we see him take the shot. And in the chaos, we see that first video of him immediately sprinting across the roof right after that shot. We then see him flee out the back. All right. And I want you guys to pay attention to this. So if you see my cursor right here on the left, this is where the FBI says.
Have any of you guys seen this yet? Let me know. Press 1 if you've seen it, 2 if you didn't. Cricket, cricket, cricket. All right, I'll just play the video.
He took the shot from. Okay. We then see him immediately sprint along the front of this from that front viewed camera and sprint around this right off the back, as we've seen. There he goes. He zooms in. A lot of people are trying to say he's got a rifle with him. We're going to see here in a second. That's just silly. He jumps down, throws his backpack, picks his backpack up, which looks like his hat. He actually does, because right here.
Right, yeah, you don't see a rifle. You don't see a rifle in his hand.
Comes down, throws his backpack.
Where's his rifle?
Picks his backpack up, which looks like his hat. He actually does, because right here, you see this? Whoop. Hat comes back on the head. He has nothing in his left arm, only the backpack in his right arm. Okay, you can see here, if this kid had a giant 30-06 somehow, people are going to see it. But what he has is a backpack. Again, there's pedestrians, there's cars, there's everybody like right in front of him. Right,
yeah. So the question would be is, did these people see him have the rifle in his hand? Like this right here looks like it could be a rifle. Like this little shadow. No, that's not. That's the curb.
People are going to see it, but what he has is a backpack. Again, there's pedestrians, there's cars, there's everybody like right in front of him. Nobody's freaking out. This kid's walking around with a giant rifle right after a gunshot, right?
Yeah.
What the FBI said is a deconstructed rifle in his backpack. All right, let's play a hypothetical. And again, this is literally the FBI's story. So this kid was able to take the shot, change his clothes, break down with the screwdriver he used and left on the roof to put it back in his backpack, all in about 6 seconds as he sprints across in one sort of continuous frame there to leave the scene. Okay, fine, FBI. Sure, let's say that's all somehow true. Well, what's the problem that we just ran into now? Well, that screwdriver he used to disassemble and reassemble the weapon, FBI, you found it on the roof. He left it on the roof. So when he fled out into the bushes where you found his 30-06 in the woods, let's take a look at that 30-06. That weapon is completely assembled. So
Right, yeah. So what Valhalla's saying is, how did he reassemble the weapon if he didn't have the screwdriver with him? Maybe, like, and they left it in the woods, like, these are all good questions to ask. Definitely. Totally. Like, I don't really like him personally. Like, this guy is like he's talking mad smack about people and stuff like that. I don't really like that, but he's got some good questions.
The FBI is also telling you is that he reassembled the rifle before he dumped it in the bushes as he's fleeing the scene of a murder. How'd he reassemble the rifle if he accidentally left his screwdriver up on the roof? Whoopsies. Also, Cash Patel, how come you announced that the DNA matches a towel found in the woods and the screwdriver, but you didn't say that the DNA matches the rifle? That seems like what you would want to match. I don't know. Kind of odd.
Maybe he's not the gunman. Maybe he's just like a decoy or something like that, and the real gunman got away,
Let's talk about the shot itself, because again, I've said from the very beginning, I didn't believe this was a 30-06 based off of the official narrative is that
they're actually saying that there could be more than just one person right now. Like they're saying that there was a militia group or some sort of like gay trans kind of group. I don't know what the heck to call it, but kind of like something like that, like was out to, kill him. So
Charlie Kirk was shot from about 150 to 200 yards.
Oh, sorry, YouTube. Off himself, I guess. I don't know what the heck to say.
With a 30-06 round, and we've all seen the footage, I'm sure, by now. None of that ever made sense to me, and I'm going to show you why. So we racked our brains back and forth about, did Charlie have body armor? Did he not have it on? We've run through the timeline of events and pretty much 100% confirmed at this point, no, Charlie did not have body armor on. So what does that mean? The official FBI story means that he took a direct impact to soft tissue in the neck near the...
He definitely wasn't wearing body armor. You could see his nipple. Right, here's his nipple right here. He was not wearing body armor. He was not wearing any type of armor at all. This guy didn't even have a weapon on him. This guy was unarmed.
Carotid.
And what's the threat triangle? Intent, capability, opportunity. And in the rules of engagement of what we will learn, what we taught is you have the right to fire as long as you can prove all that stuff. You can prove intent. You can prove opportunity. You can prove capability. So Mr. Kirk did not have a threat triangle at all. So he shouldn't have been shot at all. He wasn't a threat.
From a 30-06 round from 150 meters. Okay. Let's look at a little demonstration. All right, guys, this is going to be an actual ballistics demonstration of what a 30-06 round does to a mock gel human skull, okay? And these are literally designed to see what ballistics actually do to the human body. This is a 30-06 round. Let's take a watch.
Oof. He ain't going to be in Rush Hour 3.
Okay. So
That whole skull was destroyed. I seen the video of what happened to Charlie Kirk, and I seen it on 4chan actually, where they played the whole thing, and like all you did was just see a gush of blood just flowing out of his neck. It was terrible, horrible sight to see. I would have not wanted to be that paramedic or that EMT on that scene or that nurse. Like, oh, that it was just terrible, horrific.
we are supposed to believe that a 30-06 round from about 150 meters to soft human flesh, and it's not like Charlie Kirk was some linebacker with, not that it would matter, some giant neck or anything, had that fairly small wound as you still frame the pictures. So here's the actual still frame.
Look at that hole. That is definitely bigger than a quarter. I would probably say maybe like that big. You know, it's huge.
Again, the FBI wants you to believe that that wound right there is an entrance wound from a 30-06 round, which we just saw demonstrated.
The blood came pouring out, like literally, it looked like a fountain pouring out. It was horrible.
And there was no exit wound. Okay. You know, people say,
that's a good question. Where was the round? Was the round still in his neck? Those are questions that these reporters and these news media need to ask. You know, where did the round go? Did it go in and then down then? Like, you know?
Well, bullets do funny things. Yeah, that would have been real funny, right? You guys realize the entire back of that tent, that white tent, would have just been painted with Charlie's blood.
Right. From the example from the dummy, right, the head blew up, right? So what the bullet probably did was its trajectory, right, where the bullet goes and it goes down like it's like an arch where the bullet goes. So it went, but where did it go? It didn't go out of his body. Good questions. Very good questions to ask.
Just absolutely everywhere. Had that been a 30-06 round. Again, FBI story, not mine. So as we move through the timeline of events, yes, the kid escapes. And in the chaos, we have some very odd things happen. We have that old man immediately cause a huge distraction saying that he's the shooter. Very odd. The FBI then, of course, immediately announces at 4:21 p.m., we got him. Cash Patel says, we got him, boys. About an hour and a half later, says we don't got him. Actually got a good meme for this.
Got the guy. Oh, shit. Did you really? Nope. Not the guy. Oh. Okay. This is the guy. Oh, shit. Cute. Oh, wait. Nope. Not that guy. What? What are we doing right now? I got a picture of the guy. Yeah, how am I supposed to know that's the guy? Shit, wait, how do I know that's the guy?
All right, I'll see
That's funny.
you in Valhalla.
You know, conservatives, the difference between conservatives and like, you know, liberals, I would say, is some of them don't have a really good sense of humor. You know, like I thought this was funny. If I said to my friend, hey, I'll see you in Valhalla, and somebody made a beard with like a Viking of me, I would have laughed. I would have laughed my ass off. I thought that was funny.
Jokes aside, yes. So the FBI thinks they got him, they don't got him. They thinks they got him, they don't got him. Right? Then they find the murder weapon in the woods later that night, supposedly, I guess. Then, and again, I have to keep telling you this. This is the FBI's narrative, not mine. This kid goes through all this work, planning and preparation, pulls this thing off, gets away, gets in his car, drives all the way back home, and immediately confesses to his pastor father, who the FBI told us was a retired sheriff, turns out was never in law enforcement, apparently owns a construction business. I don't know. Immediately confesses and is turned in by his father, who is now going to receive a $1 million reward from Bill Ackman for turning in his son. Okay, so we got the shooter in custody, and of course now we need motives, we need reasons, because again, he carries this entire thing out. He confesses, admits it to his father, supposedly admits it on Discord, even though Discord is saying that that username and those messages don't actually exist, even the FBI, even though the FBI is saying that. And after confessing to all these people, turning himself into his father, he gets apprehended by the FBI, who is still saying, as of right now, that he's refusing to cooperate or admit to the crime. Okay. All right, but don't worry, because the FBI, of course, already has the text messages between him and his furry boyfriend or whatever the hell this is. And yeah, let's take a look at those. Okay.
Weird. That's all I gotta say. Weird. That stuff's weird. Furries is weird. I used to be Chuck E. Cheese when I was working at Chuck E. Cheese, and I would never do such a thing. That's just weird. Just my opinion. I don't really care what you do in the bedroom. I really don't. It's really none of my business. I don't care if people are gay and stuff like that. Like, I treat people all the same.
Keep in mind, these are Gen Z kids. Do you guys, any of you have kids that are Gen Z or around kids that are Gen Z? Do you know how they talk? Skibbity toilet riz. Okay. But yeah, let's look at this conversation.
They say bet. And there's a Gen Z guy in my shop right now. I think he's Gen Z. He's like 22. And he says like some of the lingo and stuff like that. He says bet a lot and kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. So I say bet a lot now. I never used to say bet. We used to say I, and I don't remember any of the other words. Yo, son. That's some of the other stuff that we used to say. Yo, son. All right, back to the video.
Let's see what it says. Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard. What? You're joking, right? I'm still okay, my love. Stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. That's a good thing to admit to.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. That's dumb to like make evidence of the, of the like, hey, I'm pretty much admitting to the crime right now that I did this.
To be honest, I'd hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. Sorry to involve you. You weren't the one to do it, right? I am. Sorry. What fucking Gen Z kid talks like that? Really?
Well, maybe he's just a very respectable young man, Valhalla. Maybe he's got some charisma and stuff like that. Well, apparently his father and his family are all conservatives, so
it just happens to admit to everything.
Which doesn't mean anything, really. I mean, my dad was a conservative, and I used to be a Democrat all the time. Like, when I was younger, I used to be a Democrat.
The rifle, that he did it on a text message that you would know the FBI would immediately get a hold of. So that's the official FBI story. Let's just recap it real quick, right? So this kid drives from 3 hours away, supposedly knows everything about this college campus, exactly where to enter from, where to go on the building. He must have pre-scouted it somewhere, got it. He shows up, changes his clothes, has his broken down 30-06 rifle and a change of clothes all in this tiny little black backpack, gets to the roof, changes his clothes, reassembles the rifle with a screwdriver, takes the shot, disassembles the rifle, changes his clothes, runs and jumps off the building, runs out into the woods, reassembles the rifle without the screwdriver that he needed to because he left it on the roof.
Right. So that means if he had the rifle, if he disassembled the rifle, that means that he already had the rifle assembled when he left it somewhere. So
gets away, drives all the way home, and immediately confesses. But then won't cooperate with the FBI. That's the FBI story. Got it, guys. This is the same FBI that is continuing to lie and cover up the Epstein files. I mean, Kash Patel just came out and said today that he doesn't believe Epstein trafficked children to anybody. So, okay, this is where we're at. That's this FBI, right? Again, I get it. Some people out there really trust the government, and if the FBI says it, it must be true. Guys, when we talked about the start of this and Occam's razor, does this story, is this the simplest story with the least amount of assumptions needed? No. This
Yeah, I mean, the way Valhalla puts it, it's like he's kind of putting it into pieces on the way how he sees it. And it kind of really doesn't make sense the way that Valhalla is explaining it. The way he's explaining it is that this guy changed his clothes twice up on the roof after he shot him. To me, that seems that, you know, how long did it take him? Maybe did he have clothes already underneath him? Did he put the clothes on before? Was he hiding or something like that? We don't know. We'll never really know. It's like what George Carlin says. There's a big giant club and none of you are in it. You're not in the club. We're not in the club.
story is ridiculous. Now, like I said, this isn't going to be a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory video. Was going to show you the timeline of events so we all have the actual FBI story here. That'll probably be the next video I do where I give my real opinions on this. But there's also some other anomalies I think we need to look at.
I'll cover that too. I mean, like I said before, I'm not really that big of a fan of him. I really don't think, I think he's very naive when it comes to alpha beta stuff. But, you know, he does put a good point. Like, I like to give credit where credit's due, and he deserves his credit.
Because there's some things I'm wondering, like, why the hell aren't we receiving this information? Here's the first one. We know that there was this camera set up right behind Charlie. Multiple videos of that camera showing Charlie from behind as he's interacting with the crowd. But now we can't get the footage to this camera, so for some reason. This camera would show everything we need to know. Where's the exit wound? Maybe the actual trajectory of the round. Maybe hit here. That was the exit wound. Well, this footage.
Yeah, I watched some reel that's saying that the shooter might have been from the other side. Like, but then like all these people would have gotten hit, or somebody would have got hit over here. Was there another body? Was somebody else got hit? You know, like, because this is where the crowd is, right? Yeah, I guess I can't really do that. But if you could see my cursor, I'm looking at this area. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. I don't have another screen. So like here's the front. This is where Charlie Kirk was sitting, and the exit wound came out his left side. So it either went straight through or it went because it didn't go through this side and go out. I think the bullet went like this, like, and down into him. That's what I think.
Which might tell us that. Here's the other thing. Wouldn't the FBI be pretty interested in the coroner's report, the autopsy report? That would tell us everything we would know. It would tell us the ballistics used, the entrance location, the exit location. Everything. There's pretty much every question we need answered about that side of the story is right there. And that just doesn't seem to exist. Doesn't seem like we're going to get that information. That's pretty odd. All right, so here's the deal, guys. This is the end of it. You can call me a conspiracy theorist, a tinfoil hat, and you should trust the government. You should trust the FBI. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm even reaching on any of this. I'm just literally going through the FBI's timeline of events and trying to objectively say, do these things make sense? Is this possible? And no.
Right. What really boggles me is that how did he change and then change again and then change again? Like, that seems strange to me.
I don't see how anybody can look at that full timeline of events put out by the FBI, right? Could this actually be the shooter and all these things? Maybe, but the FBI has done such a horrible job at reporting all this that it makes the entire thing look like a massive conspiracy. And so I think there should be some transparency. Where's the coroner's report? Where's the autopsy report? Where's the backside camera footage of all these things? It's there. Why aren't they being shown?
Again, all good questions.
It's all very, very odd and very, very suspicious. And of course, it's going to make people look at this as a conspiracy. And they should, because again, the FBI report makes no sense. All right. So again, that's all this one's going to be. I'm going to probably do a couple more videos talking.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it is very strange. It is very strange. He actually had the rifle under his hat the entire time. That's kind of funny. The FBI wouldn't lie. Cash Patel has been so transparent with the Espionage files. There's no way to lie about the Charlie Kirk shooter. Interesting. Patel always looks like a deer in headlights. The FBI can't keep up with their own false narrative. This is Lee Harvey Oswald all over again. This kid's a patsy. Yeah, I think this kid's a patsy. I think I don't know. I don't know what to think. But I know that it was horrible what happened to him. Maybe Tim Kennedy gave him a magic backpack to hold it. This guy probably knows that Valhalla does not like Tim Kennedy. He does not like Tim Kennedy at all. Yeah, I don't really know what to think anymore after watching this video. You know, I do know that Charlie Kirk was an unarmed man. He shouldn't have been slaughtered like that. He shouldn't have been shot at just because of words. And I don't think Charlie, I never really watched him, but I did watch some of his videos just recently, and seems pretty engaging and welcoming to all types of people. So, you know, kind of, make up, what do you think? You know, like, do you think that the FBI is lying, or do you think that, like the story doesn't make sense? Like, I don't know what to believe anymore, honestly. But if this is your first time here, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate you watching. If you're still here this whole entire time, this whole hour and 21 minutes, I'd like to thank you. And I'm going to end this one with my supplement line. We have a sale for buy 2 fat burners. You get Guns Powder for half off. So here's Fat Chief.
When it's time to fuel up, I don't cut corners. This is Guns Powder, 100% whey isolate chocolate flavor protein that hits just right. You can mix it with water. I like to mix it with Fairlife milk. It mixes smooth, it tastes like a milkshake, and yeah, it actually keeps me full. It's got 25 grams of pure, fast digesting protein. No added sugar, no fillers, just results. There's also 0 artificial flavors, just clean fuel your body actually uses. So whether I'm lifting, on the go, or just staying consistent, this is part of my routine now. If you're serious about clean protein with great flavor, Guns Powder is where it's at. Hit the link in the description, check it out, grab your Guns Powder today.
I think it's funny that he's wearing a bucked up shirt. Appreciate that, Fat Chief. For that video, I had him. I gave him a free 2-pound Guns Powder. So just want to say thank you again for watching. Stay tuned. I still wanted to do this whole gallery review thing. Just really haven't had like the consistency to do it, or just like the means to do it really. So just stay tuned for that. Thank you for liking and subscribing the channel, and peace.